let's see. So I'm going to record this part. So this is talking about storytelling. So how can storytelling change your business is the name of it. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint here so you guys can all see it. So this is, wouldn't be a call for me if there wasn't a PowerPoint. Okay. So how can storytelling change your business is the title of it. And so to start off is why storytelling? So, I mean, from the, first thinking about it, why does storytelling matter? I'm trying to run this business where, we're fitness oriented and, we work out and we do all these things. Why do I have to tell a story? And this is the key here because there's, I was listening to Brene Brown today, or it was yesterday, but she talks about this guy named Paul Zak. He's a neuroeconomist, and he's found that hearing a story, so a narrative, where there's a beginning point, a middle, and an end, causes our brain to release cortisol and oxytocin. And these chemicals trigger our abilities to connect, to empathize, and to make meaning. And our brains love hearing stories. So it's like if you know anything about the body, like our bodies have kind of like this reward system to it, and that's the cortisol and oxytocin. So when something happens that your body likes, it releases these chemicals, and it makes your body feel good, it makes you happy, and what that does is it's a reinforcement causing you to go back to doing whatever it was that caused those chemicals to be released. So what that tells you is our brains love stories. Like we love listening to stories. We love hearing, this situation that comes up, and the situation grows up to be, this climax of the story, and then the resolution comes and how the story ends. Our bodies love that. And stories, so the second part there, stories help you to stand out from other coaches and brands. So they help to grab people's attention. When people read a story versus just, product image or, workout pictures or videos or whatever, they get a story, it really catches their attention. And so when you create good stories, that's how companies convince people that are already preoccupied. They already have an overload of information, and it stops people from scrolling through their feed when there's a good story that they can stop and read. When stories are well constructed and narrated in storytelling, and its characters are authentic, they're exciting, there's a powerful product that moves us and makes it makes us feel like we want to act and be a part of it. So uniting an idea with an emotion, and in turn being able to feel, allows the concepts, ideas, statistics, dates, colors, everything that goes into that story that we're trying to tell, it causes that to stick out in our minds and to stay there. So instead of just some random, ideas and whatever that you're posting out there, or images that people will forget after they scroll past, those good stories that really gets people's attention, where the characters are real, they're relatable, they're authentic. All that stuff sticks in people's brains, and it's going to cause them to remember. The next thing on here is a quote from the book Storytelling. He says, "People don't buy products, but rather the stories that these products represent." And if you look at all the articles that I read, talked about these companies like Red Bull and Dove and Nike and Apple and Starbucks and all these huge companies. People are not buying just their products, but they're buying the stories and the image and the sense of community that comes with that product. So he gives an example. One of the things I read was an example of like Starbucks. Starbucks didn't set out to be like a high-end coffee retailer, but people will drive past Dunkin' Donuts, a 7-Eleven, whatever, McDonald's or wherever else you can get coffee. They'll drive past that for miles and pay 2-3 times as much just so they can get their coffee from Starbucks, because they want to be a part of that type of community.
Hi.
Okay. So we have to harness the power of social networks, and not just to share content, but to tell it. So instead of just blurting something out and putting it out there, telling the story behind it, and to narrate your personal brand. So, the social media platforms that we use, Facebook, Instagram, are probably the two biggest ones, but don't just make, that platform another way of distributing your content and getting it out there, but use it as a way to create conversation, use it as a way to transmit ideas, experiences, feelings, values, dreams, failures, successes, truths, all those different things, but you're sharing and showing and telling stories to get people to be drawn into what you're doing. Okay. So that's why, that's the whole why behind using stories, and why so many of the top brands, top companies, everybody's using this story format to do their marketing. A lot of the articles that I read were all about how the old type of marketing is dead. If you're just placing product images out there, that's like a hard selling technique, and it just turns people off. But people are drawn in by emotion, they're drawn in by story, and they want to be a part of something. So, this is the new way of marketing and the new way of getting your name out there and developing a tribe and a brand for yourself. So going on is how do you tell a story then? So these are the practical, this is how you're going to implement this message. How am I going to tell a story? So one of the graphs on there is this one here. So you start off with a type of, so exposition, or it's some sort of situation, some sort of, conflict or whatever comes up in your day. And then, so you start off with there, and then the action tends to rise. You reach a climax, and then, the resolution to the story comes about after that. And so if you watched any movie, any book, anything, this is the basic format that they all follow, right? There's you start off getting to know who the characters are, and then, something happens, and there goes the story. You reach the tipping point, the climax of the story, and then the resolution comes about. So that's the basic format that you would use when you're telling a story. Or you can just do a simple, here's a conflict, here's what I did to resolve it. So two different types of frameworks to build your story on. Like I said on there, so you can do all that in one post, or you can have a string of 5 different posts that is catching people's attention to where they're following along because they want to read on and finish out that story, right? So the interesting point about that, the oxytocin and cortisol that we talked about with our brains, is that those are released when the resolution is met in the story. Okay, so when you get to the end of that story, that's when those chemicals are released, and that just goes to show how much our brains love the story. They love being involved in something and hearing that, but having it come to a resolution. Okay, so how do you tell a story? So the first one is you align your story with audience values. So normally, you want to have a shared common belief with your team, the message that you're sending on your page, or whatever format you're using. But you connect through a common belief, and that allows you to move toward a lifestyle or a value rather than just a product. So rather than just, I'm a part of Beachbody and come buy my stuff, it's, this is, a lifestyle that we live. These are the values that I have. We value healthy lives, healthy choices with meals and relationships and whatever other type of stuff that you want to create. But this is the type of lifestyle rather than just a brand. The second part on there is tell local stories. So this is something that one of the articles I read talked about, was telling stories that are local to where you are. And even though internet's everywhere and the people that you connect to are all across the United States, when you share stuff that's happening locally, things that you're a part of, events that are happening locally, like they gave examples of a fundraiser or something that somebody's doing locally, or any type of good cause or something that you're supporting or want people to help you support. What that does is it helps to humanize you and gets people wanting to jump on board and to be a part of what you're a part of. So if you're telling a local story about the animal shelter or whatever, then all these people want to connect with that, and they'll connect on that common ground that you have, love for animals, and they want to be a part of that, and they'll jump on board and help you out and connect to you because of that. And then the third part on here is show the value that only you provide. So what sets you apart from other coaches and other network marketing companies out there? And the way that they did this was they said build a story around this other framework. It's the situation, complication, and then resolution. And it's basically kind of like what we talked about with that whole pyramid image. But so he says to use the SCR, so the situation, complication, resolution framework in your storytelling. Begin by sharing the situation. So what's currently going on. What is it that you're a part of? What is it that you're doing? Find something in your life that you're working on that you want to get people's interest in and be a part of it. And then the next thing is you identify the complication. So what is it that's standing in the way of this issue? And then finally share the resolution that only your brand provides. So, what is it that you can do to set you apart? What is it that, that you provide that nobody else provides? And, you can use the story of, I don't know, Beachbody uses this one all the time, but he talks about the obesity epidemic, right? It's kind of obvious. It's a, health and fitness company. There's the situation is that, obesity is rising exponentially around the United States. The complication is that if it continues to rise, healthcare costs are going up, and, all this stuff is going on because of the obesity epidemic. And the resolution is, hey, we've got these amazing programs for you. We've got this amazing shake that's going to help you. So that's the story that Beachbody sets out there, is using this type of framework right here. And they use those in the, infomercials and stuff. So, you can build around that same type of framework, but make it personalized to you, to what you do as a coach, not Beachbody as a whole, but, what you do specifically as a coach. Okay. So the next part on here about how to tell a story is create relatable narratives. So if you think about it, what is the most important part of socializing? So when you have interactions with people, is the most important thing the time of the day that it happens, the type of car you're in, people that you're with, whatever. It's not that. It's not those other things. It's that simple person-to-person interaction. It's like what Christy was talking about, how you're building this type of community where it's a lot more personal. There's more one-on-one experience with challenge groups and meeting people and events and stuff. It's people care about people, and so the one way to make your content relatable is by presenting audiences with a person or a persona they can identify with. So that means that you're not showing yourself as this amazing person that has everything together. You're showing your faults and weaknesses and stuff. One of the things that I read actually it was this Russian photographer. So he created this whole series of Instagram posts. It was titled "Follow Me Too," and then he would go around and take all these images of different places around the world. And let's see, yeah. So it took his follower count to 3.3 million people because he created this story around people that. Not people, but create the story around following him to these different places. And so it wanted people wanted to be engaged with it and wanted to check back in and keep following him and see where he was going to be next. So, and then the next part on here is stop advertising your brand 24/7. So your social media channel isn't a perpetual billboard for your followers. To be a good storyteller, tone down announcements about how great your brand is. Tell people about who your brand is. And I don't feel like you guys do a whole lot of that, but everything that I've got here is just from research that I've done on different websites. So I just came up with the highlights, but. We've seen many issues raised about the pressures people face regarding self-image on social media. And it's our job to squash such negativity. Let's not focus on making people like us all the time. Instead, let's focus on making them feel welcomed. This will make people feel like, they want to be a part of your group because it's uplifting. It's kind of like that thing that I shared from Tribes, but it wants people. You're creating this type of story and movement that people will feel uplifted by and empowered by it, and they'll want to be a part of it because it makes them feel good. Okay. All right, and then there's a couple of slides here of just some tips, stuff that I learned. So one of the things is offer something new. So in the one of the articles that I read, it says you have people's attention for 8 seconds. That's not very long. So in 8 seconds, you've got to come up with something that's going to catch people's attention. So if you use real life events, stuff that's happening in the world today, you're gonna people are really into current events and what's going on in the world. So if you use those real life events to kind of catch their attention and create your story around that, but do it quickly. And then the second part on here is have an identity. So becoming a storyteller on social media means identifying your quirks as well as rough edges and exhibiting them sometimes in full view of audiences. Think about what makes your brand distinct. It's always good to make a story that is packed with a unique and memorable flavor. So think about your brand as a person. What kind of sense of humor would it have? What does it feel happy or sad about? What are its routines? There's no point in sounding like an excitable yuppie for all your posts. So this is stuff obviously that I've taken from other websites. This isn't my wording. But so the point of that is just...
I've never heard you say yuppie before.
Yeah. But the point of that is that you're creating this type of brand and identity around you and who you are, but make sure it's something that people can relate to. And you're like I said, you're showing your weaknesses and faults and all that. And then the next part in here is inspire action. So just telling good stories and having all that type of good stuff is great to have and to share, but you've got to have something and present something that makes people want to do and to be something different or better. And one of the examples that they give is always Like a Girl campaign. So they had, I don't know if you guys saw that on social media or not, but they had all these videos and stuff about how the old sayings of, oh, you throw like a girl or whatever were demeaning. But so
they kind of interviewed people, didn't they?
Yeah, like, what does like a girl mean to you? And first off, they would say, oh, they're whatever, uncoordinated or weak or whatever. If you told somebody they were like a girl, that was a negative thing. But then they created this ad campaign where they showed these videos of these women doing awesome things and went against those cultural norms that you saw, and then asked them again, basically, what does like a girl mean? And it totally changed around their perception. And yeah, so the stats in here is 76% of people between the ages of 16 and 24 changed their perspective of the phrase. And the video got 54 million views on YouTube. So, that's something that they presented their story. And this is, an ad campaign for a product, yet they created this story and this whole narrative on, this like a girl.
What was the product?
Always.
Oh, like deodorant?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So it's a deodorant, but they're creating this whole story. So the point of that is the stories don't have to be specifically, related to what you're doing, as a coach in fitness, but you can create these, tell these different types of stories and find stuff that you're passionate about and talk about and, build stories around them, but it doesn't have to be, fitness and Beachbody related. They got tons and tons of viewership, and I'm sure their sales increased a ton because they came up with this campaign here. Okay, the next part on here is stay customer centric. So think about the needs and interests of your target audiences. So what stories do they want to hear as opposed to the stories you want to tell them? So this goes back to one of the topics that we've talked about before is who's your audience. You've got to know who your audience is before you can know what types of stories they would like to hear. So one of the things on here, it says, is as a storyteller, one of the key goals is connecting with audiences. So stories have to be about them and their needs and interests. So that's part of connecting, is not just sharing about you, not just sharing about your day, what you did that day, what workout you did, what shake you drank, what, all this stuff's related to you, but you're connecting with your audience and telling stories about them. So you have to ask yourself, would this story be interesting to my audiences? In other words, you need to take a customer-centric approach to storytelling rather than a product-centric approach. Okay, so you're telling a story about, your customers, the types of things that they're interested in. Okay, and then next part on here is create a core story. So your core story is what is your motto? What is your central belief as a coach and as a business? What is it that you believe in it? And maybe this is something that you could create and use as your cover photo or something, but you have that front and center. This is my core story. This is what my brand is all about. These are the values that this Tiffany Dancy Fitness, this is what we believe in, and this is our story. This is an exercise that involves the identification of things that make you unique, different, or interesting as a way to establish a strong competitive positioning. So you're showing where you stand as a business, how you are different from other people. These are my values. and this is where all the stories that I create are going to be all draw back onto that central theme. And then, so the last thing on here is look for stories everywhere. So that just means that as you go throughout your day, keep track of what's going on around you. Basically that's all it means, is just be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what's going on in your world, and keep track of them. And that doesn't mean that you're creating a story on everything that you do, but you're just looking for different ideas and looking for things that you can write about and create stories around. There's always something interesting going on. Even if you think that your life is boring, there's something that you can create, some type of story that you can create that's going to draw people's attention from just your regular life. So like it says on here, so like a reporter, you're looking for stories that are new, interesting, intriguing, different, or provocative. So there is something going on and you can find it. Okay, and then just some last tips here on just some questions here. And I'll post this PowerPoint, so you don't need to write these down, but these are just basically some ideas to help to kind of get your mind going, think of some different ways that you can create stories. What types of stories can you create? What types of, message get out there? Those are some things that you can look at. But, and the thing that I liked on here was one of the articles said, coming up with stories is like meeting someone at a party. In many cases, people have interesting stories to tell. You simply have to ask them the questions. So if you don't know what types of stories, you don't know anything that's interesting going in your life, just imagine having that conversation with somebody and trying to get to know somebody, if you're out at a party or something. But what types of questions do you ask to get people's attention, to learn about them, to really engage with them, and to get to know them? And those are the types of things that you can create stories around. And that's it. Okay. So like I said, I'll post this so you guys have that. But the last thing that I wanted to just say is that, as we talk about tribes and reading this book here, the central theme in that is that you're creating a movement around the message that you're creating, and you as the leader are leading that movement. So use this storytelling PowerPoint, change around, do whatever you want to do to it. But I'll post it. You can save it and do what you want. But take that message to your team about storytelling, because everything that I read about storytelling is that's the way marketing is going. That's the way elections are going on right now, right? And that's the big thing is so much, almost all of decision making that people do on a daily basis has to do with emotion. They don't have to do as much with logic and just facts and data. People don't really make decisions based off of that, but they make decisions based off of emotion. And we talked about this last week, but how can you create emotion, and how can you draw emotion out of people and get them to join you in your movement and create this tribe around you? And it all comes back to this. It comes back to storytelling. How effective can you be at creating this awesome story that people want to join and be a part of it because of this awesome message that you're setting yourself apart from other people. You've got this cool thing. You're leading this movement, and hey, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of something that empowers people, and I want to be a part of something that really gives me meaning. And that's the way marketing is going right now. So the more you're skilled you can become at telling good stories, getting people engaged, the more people are going to be drawn to you.
That's the end.
The end.
That was his closing remark.
You have anything?
No, sorry, I came in midway. And then I had to go back because my kids were screaming at each other in the shower and fighting. I could hear Avery.
We need to soundproof this office.
No, we need the office to be in another building.
Yeah, and we wouldn't know what's going on in our house.
It's true.
All right. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything they want to talk about?
This is not related really, but did either last week's call or Susan's call get posted somewhere? I was looking for them today and couldn't find them.
We need to-
Did Jessie post Susan's?
I don't think so.
I don't think she did.
I'll message her and see if she can. And then I don't think we did.
I'm gonna post the
It's probably on my computer. I can process it on YouTube and upload it.
That would be great. I read your PowerPoint, Susan. It was great. It's been kind of crazy. It was good though.
Short is good.
Short is good.
It was. I mean, I thought it was good. It was just a few of us on there.
Short is good.
It was nice. It wasn't nothing. I don't know. I didn't feel nervous.
Good. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. Are you kidding? It's okay to be nervous. Tyler, I was telling him last time after like a couple calls ago, I was like, you don't shake anymore. He used to like shake and like
Yeah, not that bad.
fidget.
But I think it.
I wasn't having seizures on the call, but
Yeah, it's different when you recognize when you see people on there. You're like, okay, I know those coaches.
right.
But for me, I'm always kind of like Christy. Am I frozen? And it's like I'm over here talking. I'm like, I don't know, because our internet. It must be the whole South Carolina, North Carolina thing, because mine's constantly saying unstable connection, and I'm like yelling at all the kids, get off of the devices. But we live out in the country, so
Yeah.
Well, clearly we need some sort of lighting in this room. We're like Mexicans. But like black Mexicans or something. We're like weird.
It's the tan.
Celine recommends the ring light. I was looking into it the other day.
Who does, Shalene?
Celine, yeah.
The ring light?
I saw Summer had one of those too. Yeah, she was. Chad
I
had
need to-
taken a picture of them, of her like on a call or something, and here's her screen with this big. It was probably that. It was like this ring of.
Yeah.
Like-
Because my light is terrible everywhere in my house. So, I mean, that's like really the impetus for starting this ridiculous project in my basement. It's because I was like, my workout videos are terrible. I need better light in here. So we had to redo our whole
I
basement.
did a video this morning in my basement main area. It was awful. Like the lighting is so bad. I need one for like all the rooms.
Yeah. It's like this light, I don't know if you can tell, but in the room behind me, it's like really great now. There's just a thing.
Yeah, it's good lighting right now.
Yeah.
you need
This
one
room
of
is not so good, but what?
that Tiffany had for her cell phone. Remember in Cabo, she had it for her selfies. Maybe you could put it around your computer.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen those phone cases that like light up?
To make your selfies
Stephanie
look
Richardson's phone case, like around the outside, like had lights all over, and she like pushed a button, and the whole thing like lit up, so it like lit up your face.
Nice. Serious.
I know. I actually didn't really like the quality of the pictures though that we were taking. I was like, no, these aren't very good.
But
Anyway.
one thing that I learned, they were talking about that 365 app, and now I see so many people using that where you can change your face. A girl I went to high school with posted a selfie the other day, and I was like, look, let's be honest, you have to have wrinkles. Her face was so smooth, and her eyes, and I was like, and then it hit me, she's using that app.
Yes, that app. All those girls were showing us how to use the app, but it makes you look like perfect. I'm all about like a filter that, makes my zit lighter or whatever, but like they look literally like completely flawless. They don't have a freckle, a wrinkle. They look like 10 years younger or more.
Well, it's a new thing because I see it all the time. And the funny thing is there's one girl who sells the makeup, a company. And I'm like, no, makeup. I've seen that app.
There is no amount of makeup that can make you look 25 years younger.
No, you have wrinkles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that comes with like who you are too. Some people like Lindsay Matway, I think is one of the ones that taught all those coaches about her. She, I mean, you know, she uses that. She always looks flawless. And you see her in person, you're like, oh,
You're not as pretty.
like
Look
you
online.
don't look different. But I think that's her brand is just like blonde and bombshell and beautiful. That's just how she's attracted all these blonde people to. I mean, she literally talks about it. Like, there's a reason that I have all blonde, like, girls on my team. That's who I've attracted because that's who she is. But I'm like, this stuff's not me.
I look a little better in person than right now. I'm tired.
That's the end. That's the end of the school year.
Yeah, it's rough.
I'm even wearing makeup today. That's like a goal, like a record.
Say something about that.
It's your birthday.
No makeup on. I always have makeup on.
I know. I think you look so pretty.
No, this is
Like,
called.
I really never wear makeup. What?
I said I've been dealing with a sick child for 3 days, and I didn't leave my house today, so I didn't.
Who's sick?
Logan's been sick for like 3 days.
What's wrong with her?
Coughing, fever, runny nose, crankiness is a symptom too.
Mm-hmm. Brattiness, probably.
Oh, tantrum. It's been awful.
My teenager is the same way. He, got strep throat Mother's Day, stayed in bed, and then today he went to school like half a day because this is last week. And he begged me to go out with his friends tonight for a birthday party. And I was like, no, you really need to stay here. And he's like, no, I feel great. He walked in the door a few minutes ago. I feel like death. I think I got mono. I'm like, Mom knows best, but whatever. I said, you probably just infected all those kids that have prom this weekend. You can't argue with
That
kids.
is funny.
Oh, teenagers.
Well, kids just seem to get like super mean when they're sick. Like my kids just get like Avery when she was throwing up yesterday actually, and like every time in between her throwing up, she like screams and like looks at me, and I'm like, in the bowl, like don't look, or like if the TV's on, like in between her feet, she's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, in the bowl. We are not going to like push pause on the TV. So annoying. Like, no.
Oh, sick kids are the worst. Oh, and Logan is just terrible. Like, she's awful.
Some I think are worse than others. I feel like some of my kids sick, I like, oh, it's not good. Others
And
aren't
then
quite as
they're
bad.
sweet. They want to cuddle and they're nice. So, my big
I'm more like this far away, holding the bowl. And like, don't freaking touch me or look at me or look at the TV. And I'm staying as far away as possible. I really am with puke like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Oh, I don't do puke.
Go to the bathroom. Why are you at my bedside if you feel like you're going to throw up? Go to the bathroom.
Why are you on the rug is usually mine. Get off the rug.
Or the carpet. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you guys go.
All right. That was good. Thanks, Tyler.
It was good, Tyler.
Next time we need to have a theme because I almost brought ice cream down. So I'm going to think of a theme. We're all going to have to bring it.
It needs to be Vanessa have your baby.
Well, Vanessa will bring her baby next time.
We might have a chat from the hospital.
You what?
I said
Yeah.
maybe I'll just join from the hospital. The kid before that. Ari has hand, foot, and mouth.
Oh,
We're kind of hoping for a few more days of being pregnant at this point.
Yeah.
Did he just barely like go to the
Poor
doctor?
guy.
Yeah, yesterday. I was worried he had strep, and so I was like, well, we can't have a newborn and strep. And today he has like the rash everywhere. All over his body.
Is he miserable?
Are you miserable? Kind of. He slept in my bed last night, and Mike slept on the couch so that I didn't have to get up because we moved into the basement, and I didn't want to have to like get up and walk all the way downstairs like 700 times. So
You have the baby.
every
That's the worst. That sickness is terrible.
yeah, it's not been great. It's been going around to school, so I'm not too surprised. But
Is that where the kid's like nails fell off?
Yes, our kid's nails fell off like 6 weeks after.
Gross. They just have blisters under their nails.
All of their fingernails and toenails were peeling off from the nail bed up. And I was like, what is happening? Like, you guys are like morphing into some weird pictures. And I Googled it. And someone was like, oh yeah, my kids, like, it came up in the Google search that people had hand, foot, and mouth, and like weeks later, echoing for you guys. Oh, that's annoying. I'm enough for you to listen to me one time. Anyway, I Googled it, and that's what came up in the Google search. And our kids had hand, foot, and mouth like a month before.
Well, thanks for the But
Yeah, you'll know his nails start peeling off.
he just got some on his hands today, but they're not terrible. But he has them like on his elbows and his knees and his legs really bad.
Sad. Feel better, Ari.
So thanks.
And the rest of everybody else's children that are sick. Okay. We will talk next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.